If AWS feels confusing, it does not mean you are slow. You are trying to learn a system that was not designed to be learned all at once. AWS was built for large systems, not for beginners. When you open the console for the first time, you see hundreds of services without any context. EC2, S3, Lambda, VPC, RDs. The list goes on and on. It's an endless sea of acronyms and icons. That initial view overwhelms the brain before any real learning can even begin. You feel like you are standing at the base of a mountain you can't even see the top of. This is not a failure to learn on your part. It is a design reality of the platform itself. AWS wasn't created with a step-by-step learning path in mind. It evolved over nearly 2 decades, with new services bolted on to meet the demands of massive companies with complex problems. You're not just learning a tool, you're exploring an entire ecosystem that grew organically, not logically from a beginner's perspective. It is like being handed a giant box of 1,000 different Lego pieces with no instruction manual and being told to build a spaceship. Think about how most of us try to learn it. We find a tutorial, but many tutorials explain specific features in isolation and skip the fundamental structure. They show you how to launch an EC2 instance or create an S3 bucket, but they don't explain how these services fit into a larger architecture. You are shown the individual tools before you understand how they connect to build something meaningful. It's like learning the words for hammer and nail without ever understanding the concept of building a house. You can follow the steps, but you don't grasp the why. This method inevitably creates self-doubt, even in the most capable and intelligent learners. You follow a tutorial, it works, but you have no idea why it worked or how to adapt it to your own project. You feel like you're just copying and pasting commands without true comprehension. You start to think, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Everyone else seems to get it. This feeling is incredibly common, but it's based on a false premise. The problem isn't your ability to learn. It's the chaotic way the information is presented. Because of this, early progress in AWS feels completely invisible. You can spend weeks watching videos and reading documentation, but you don't feel any more competent. Your understanding often lags far behind your exposure. You've heard of dozens of services, but you couldn't confidently explain what most of them do or when you should use them. You are not behind schedule. You are simply in the messy middle. That uncomfortable phase where you've taken in a lot of information but it hasn't clicked into place yet. This is a normal and necessary part of mastering any complex skill. So, how do you break through this? Clarity comes from repeating a few core things, not from trying to touch everything once. Instead of trying to learn 20 services at a surface level, pick 3 or 4 and go deep. For example, focus only on what you need to deploy a simple web application. Maybe just EM for security, EC2 for a server, and RDs for a database. Using fewer services repeatedly is the key to reducing confusion. Build the same simple project over and over again with these core components. This approach removes the immense pressure to understand everything all at once. You give yourself permission to ignore the other 200 services for now. They'll still be there when you need them later. The goal is to build a solid foundation. Once you truly understand how a few core services interact, learning new ones becomes exponentially easier because you have a mental model to fit them into. AWS often makes sense later, in retrospect, not immediately. The aha moments come after you've struggled and built things yourself. Remember, confusion is part of the process, not a sign to quit. Feeling lost is a signal that you are challenging yourself with something difficult and worthwhile. Slow learning is normal for complex systems. No one becomes an AWS expert overnight. It takes time, patience, and a lot of hands-on practice. You are learning correctly, even if it does not feel like it yet. Every tutorial you watch, every error message you debug, and every small project you complete is building a foundation of knowledge piece by piece. Keep going. It will eventually click.